In this video, we're going to talk about the challenge documents. And so there are a few important documents that you'll definitely be referring to multiple times throughout the season. One is the build instructions. So this is a set of documents that shows you how to build each of the models in the challenge bag. So bag 1 will generate these units, these models, whereas, bag 13 will be used to create these models. So just be aware that these documents exist. They are nonverbal, and then there are also instructions in multiple languages. I have seen teams with kids, because our program goes down to 9 years old, and some kids are only used to free playing with Legos. So they'll see the picture and then they will just try to match the picture, and they won't follow the instructions because they won't know that instructions exist. A lot of kids today are very focused on the free build, which is a great and totally viable way to play with Legos, and they're not as familiar with the model sets, so they don't have as much practice with the Lego instructions, which is surprising for some people. So a few documents that are going to be important besides the build instructions, though. The first is the team meeting guide. And the team meeting guide, let me clear that out and get rid of my pencil. The team meeting guide is a document for coaches. So if you are a coach of a team, this is the document that you personally are going to refer to the most. And you get 2 copies of this with your registration and your challenge set. I believe this comes just with the registration. You don't have to buy the challenge set to get these. You need to buy the challenge set to get the challenge set. So it talks about kind of how to use this guide. It talks about the materials. There's a lot of links in here. It even gives you a layout kind of for how your season can go. And so this model here gives you a 12-session layout to where that you can accomplish the entire season in 12 sessions of about 2.5 hours. Obviously, if the more time you spend, the more you can accomplish, but this will kind of give you one approach to the season, especially if you're new. So there's some tips for how to manage everything, your checkpoints for each session. And so this is kind of what we would say is as close to the team curriculum as we have right now. And so it lays out a lot of stuff for you, and it gives you a lot of useful information as a coach, especially for kind of when you're trying to plan out, how am I going to do my season? How does judging work? What are my final checkpoints? All that good stuff. So this is a great document, and please make sure you refer to it. Again, you'll get a paper copy of it, but the digital copy is available in your dashboard as well. The second document that is provided to you is the engineering notebook, and this is for your students. And you can order additional paper copies of these if you need, and there's also digital copies available. But this is the student companion to the team meeting guide, and it covers a lot of the same information, but it covers it from the perspective of the student. And here are the overview documents that I referred to in a previous video, and these are in the engineering notebook, and some of these also exist separately as they are. So this one talks a little bit about team roles, energy journeys, which are referenced in the team meeting guide, and then these are the pages in the engineering notebook that correspond to those same sessions in the team meeting guide. And so they go through, and again, it is all the same kinds of information, but it is geared toward the student rather than to the coach. So you get through session 12, and then it talks about how to prepare for an event. It talks about the rubrics. It talks about career connections, so kind of going beyond the season. And so there's a lot of great stuff in here for the students, as well as in the team meeting guide for the coach. And you'll notice a lot of times the team meeting guide will be called the TMG, and the engineering notebook will be the EN. And the last document, which is a document that gets overlooked by a lot of people, is the Robot Game Rulebook, or the RGR. In the videos that follow this one, we're going to spend most of them talking about the Robot Game Rulebook. And I do this because a lot of teams get in the habit of watching the video where they talk about, here are the missions. And it's a brief few-minute video, and that's the end of it. But there are a lot of rules about the competition and the matches that are laid out in the Robot Game Rulebook. And if you don't read the Robot Game Rulebook, you're not going to know those rules. And so the next videos that follow are going to be focused mostly on this document because it is the one that gets overlooked the most. But there's a lot of useful information in all 3 of these documents, and the more familiar you are with them and the more familiar your students are with them, the better a season you will have as a whole.